You are kind, you are patient, you give more than you take, you help even when it costs you, and yet somehow you are the one feeling drained, ignored, and disrespected. If this feels familiar, listen closely, because being too nice is not making you loved, it is teaching people how to use you. Let me start with a truth most people never tell you: the world does not reward excessive niceness, the world rewards clarity, boundaries, and self-respect. Science backs this up. Studies in psychology show that people who struggle to say no are more likely to experience burnout, anxiety, resentment, and even depression, not because they are weak, but because their nervous system is constantly under threat. When you are too nice, your brain stays in a state of alert, always scanning for how to keep others comfortable, even at your own expense. Over time, this rewires your mind to believe that your value comes from being useful, not from being you. Think about how this pattern usually begins. Most people do not become overly nice because life was easy. They become nice because at some point being agreeable kept them safe. Maybe as a child you learned that love came when you did not cause problems. Maybe you learned that saying yes avoided conflict, or maybe you were praised for being mature, helpful, and understanding while your own needs were quietly ignored. Your brain learned a simple equation: be nice and you will be accepted. Disappoint people, and you might be abandoned. So you grow up carrying this belief. You over-explain, you overgive, you apologize even when you did nothing wrong. You say yes when your body is screaming no, and at first it feels good. You feel needed, you feel important, but slowly something changes. The same people you help stop appreciating it. They start expecting it. They stop asking and start assuming, and the moment you try to pull back, you are labeled selfish, difficult, or changed. This is where the pain really begins, because now you are trapped between two fears: the fear of being used and the fear of being rejected, and your brain chooses the familiar pain over the unknown one. So you keep being nice, you keep giving, you keep shrinking. Here is the hard truth: people do not use you because they are evil. They use you because you teach them that they can. Human behavior follows patterns. When you repeatedly put others first without limits, you send a signal that your time, energy, and emotions are freely available. Neuroscience calls this reinforcement. Every time someone benefits from your niceness without consequence, their brain learns this works, so they repeat it. And here is something even more uncomfortable: people often respect boundaries more than kindness. Studies on social dynamics show that individuals who clearly communicate limits are perceived as more competent and trustworthy, while those who constantly accommodate are often seen as less authoritative, even if they are more generous. This is not because boundaries are rude, it is because boundaries signal self-worth. Being too nice confuses people. It says, I do not know what I want, so I will focus on what you want. It says, my needs are flexible, yours are fixed. Over time, this imbalance turns relationships transactional. People stay not because they value you, but because of what they can get. If you have ever wondered why people disappear the moment you stop helping, or why your kindness is remembered only when something is needed, this is why. Now listen carefully, because this is important. Being kind is not the problem. Lack of boundaries is the strongest. Most respected people are often deeply kind, but they are also clear. They do not explain themselves to exhaustion. They do not negotiate their basic needs. They do not sacrifice their mental health to keep the peace. Your nervous system was not designed to constantly override itself. When you ignore your own limits, your body keeps the score. You feel tension in your chest. You feel tired. Even after resting, you feel resentment toward people you once cared about. That resentment is not proof that you are ungrateful, it is proof that a boundary has been crossed too many times. Psychologists explain this through something called self-betrayal. Every time you say yes when you mean no, your brain registers it as a small act of betrayal. Over time, these micro-betrayals damage self-trust, and when you do not trust yourself, you become easier to manipulate because you are disconnected from your own inner signals. This is why stopping excessive niceness is not about becoming cold or selfish, it is about rebuilding self-trust. Let me tell you what happens when you start changing even slightly. The first time you say no without explaining, the first time you pause before agreeing, the first time you choose rest over obligation, your body will feel uncomfortable, not because you are wrong, but because you are breaking a pattern. Your nervous system is used to survival mode. People pleasing feels safe because it is familiar. Boundaries feel dangerous because they are new. Some people will push back, they will test you, they might guilt you or question you. This is not a sign that you are doing something wrong, it is a sign that the dynamic is changing, and not everyone benefits from that change. Here is something powerful to remember: the people who truly care about you will adjust, the people who are using you will resist. This is the filter you never had before. When you stop being overly nice, you give others the chance to meet the real you, not the version that exists only to serve, not the version that swallows discomfort, but the version that has limits, preferences, and needs. And here is the paradox: the moment you stop trying to be liked by everyone, you become respected by the right ones. Your time is not unlimited, your energy is not renewable without rest, your emotional labor is not free, and you do not need to earn the right to exist comfortably. You are allowed to take up space, you are allowed to disappoint people, you are allowed to change. This shift does not happen overnight, it happens through small daily choices. Pause before you respond, check in with your body, notice when yes feels heavy and no feels honest. Practice saying simple sentences like I cannot do that right now or that does not work for me. You do not owe long explanations, your worth is not measured by how much you give. Every time you honor a boundary, you strengthen a new neural pathway, one that says I matter. Over time, this becomes your default. And something incredible happens, the exhaustion fades, the resentment dissolves, and your relationships become lighter, because they are based on mutual respect instead of silent sacrifice. You do not need to become hard, you need to become clear. And clarity is the kindest thing you can offer yourself. Because clarity changes how your brain and your life work. Let me explain what actually happens inside you when you stop being too nice. When you constantly put others first, your brain's reward system gets hijacked. You start chasing approval instead of peace. Dopamine is released not when you honor yourself, but when someone is pleased with you. This creates an addiction to being needed. The problem is dopamine fades quickly, so you keep giving more, hoping to feel valued again. That is why no amount of appreciation ever feels like enough. The moment you begin setting boundaries, your brain goes through withdrawal. It feels guilt, it feels fear, it feels like danger. But that is not intuition, that is conditioning. You trained your nervous system to associate self-neglect with safety and self-respect with risk, so when you choose yourself it feels wrong even though it is right. This is why so many people quit halfway. They mistake discomfort for failure, but growth always feels unsafe to a system built on survival. Think about how people respond when you are too nice. They interrupt you, they delay responding, they cancel plans last minute, they dump their stress on you. And they do it without much thought, not because they are cruel, but because your behavior taught them there are no consequences. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you pause before responding. You do not rush to fix, you do not jump to rescue, you listen. And then decide. People notice this shift immediately. Your words carry more weight because they are not always available. Scarcity creates value, not artificial scarcity, but healthy limits. Research in behavioral psychology shows that people respect consistency more than generosity. When your yes actually means yes and your no actually means no, people feel grounded around you. They know where you stand, and that stability commands respect. But let us be honest, this change will expose something uncomfortable. You will realize how many of your relationships were built on your overgiving. That can hurt. It can feel lonely at first, because when you stop performing, some people drift away. This is not loss, this is alignment. You were never meant to be everything for everyone, you were meant to be real. Here is something no one talks about. When you are too nice, you rob others of the chance to grow. When you always accommodate, you prevent people from taking responsibility. When you always forgive without accountability, you teach people they do not have to change. Boundaries are not punishment, they are instruction. They teach others how to treat you, and more importantly, they teach you how to treat yourself. Notice this shift. When you stop over-explaining, you feel calmer. When you stop apologizing unnecessarily, you feel grounded. When you stop fixing other people's problems, you regain mental space. That space becomes clarity. That clarity becomes confidence. Confidence does not come from affirmations, it comes from evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself, evidence that you can survive discomfort, evidence that you do not collapse when someone is disappointed. And here is the truth: most people never reach. The fear of being disliked is often stronger than the reality of being alone. But once you face it, you realize something shocking: being alone with self-respect feels safer than being surrounded by people who drain you. You do not need everyone to like you, you need peace. The more you practice boundaries, the more your body relaxes, your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, your sleep improves, because your nervous system finally feels protected by you. This is what self-respect feels like in the body: calm, clear, steady. And when people sense this, they adjust, their tone changes, their expectations change. Some step up, others step out. Both outcomes are wins. Because your life is not a resource for others to consume, it is a responsibility you have to protect. When you stop being too nice, you are not becoming mean, you are becoming honest. Honest about your limits, honest about your energy, honest about your worth. And honesty is the foundation of every healthy relationship. This is where real strength begins. This is where everything comes together. Being too nice was never your personality, it was a survival strategy. And like all survival strategies, it once served a purpose, but what protected you before is now costing you your peace. You do not need to erase your kindness, you need to anchor it with self-respect. Kindness without boundaries is self-abandonment. Boundaries without kindness are walls. But when the two work together, you become someone who is calm, grounded, and deeply respected. Some people will not like the new you. They will say you have changed, and they will be right. You have changed from someone who tolerated disrespect into someone who honors themselves. That is not a flaw, that is growth. Let go of the idea that you must be liked to be safe. You were never meant to be consumed, you were meant to be valued. Every time you choose honesty over approval, every time you say no without guilt, every time you walk away instead of explaining yourself, you are teaching your brain a new truth: I can protect myself and still be a good person. This is not about becoming hard, this is about becoming whole. The moment you stop being too nice is the moment your life starts to feel lighter, clearer, and finally your own.